Okay. And while we're waiting for that, we can start actually modifying this to become our Typescript library. So instead of index.ts, we're going to make tsx. So the x says that it's going to be a JSX component, and TS means it's going to be TypeScript. The other thing I like doing is using not components. The other thing I like is actually to use functional components instead of components. So what we're actually going to do now is create a new file, and we're going to call this merge list.tsx, and this is going to be where most of our stuff is done. So we're going to import React. We're going to export a function, merge list. For now, it's going to be parameter list. We're going to return a view. Now, one of the reasons why I like using TypeScript is it's actually going to give me a problem. So I know that I have to actually call the import from React Native. Many times when I'm developing, if it's just plain Jane JavaScript, I won't get those errors and warnings. So only during runtime will I notice that I have a problem. So instead here, let's just call our merge list. And here, merge. Let's check on how our files are going. Oh, it looks like we're just about done. Good, so we've installed most of the code that we're going to need. So now we have our first component. We're calling it from here. We notice there's errors on this because we don't have any props here. So let's just get rid of that. We're going to create a new folder called tests. We're going to have merge list.test.js. This is just going to be a basic test. Because we're doing TypeScript, let's make this a TSX test. So we're going to need to add a couple of things. Sorry, I'm just looking over to copy paste. So we're going to import React Native. We're going to import React. We need this renderer, which we installed. And instead of rendering app, we are going to render merge list from our components. So now we have our first test written. Next, we're going to have to set up some other stuff. Next, let's create our tsconfig, which will tell the system how our TypeScript is supposed to compile. Take some boilerplate stuff that I've done earlier. Save this. This is really just telling the system that we're going to build this stuff in source and put it into builds. We're going to need to modify our package.json. So the Adalo component is no longer going to be from the source folder. it will be from the build folder that we're going to actually compile our stuff into. We need to set up a Babel config for Jest. A metro config for Jest. This is mostly just boilerplate stuff. And now let's see what happens if we just try to run TypeScript. Oh, no. We want to add a new script called test. So now npx tsc in the folder. If all goes well, we'll actually compile build. There we go. And now we have our merge list, which is compiled TypeScript or transpiled TypeScript. I think there's one more step that I'm missing. Yeah. So index.js is the main entry point that Adalo is looking for. So it's no longer going to be in source, it's going to be in build. So if we did that all correctly, we should be able to run yarn, which will run the Adalo development server. Oh, and I noticed that I started both the editor and the runtime on the same port. So that's an issue that we have to take care of in the node modules, Adalo, source. In dev.js, we're going to look for port finder. So for some reason, these two lines are giving me the same port. So we just have to change this to port 5000 manually. Now we can run that again. So now we see we're starting on 5000 and 8000. I think everything looked good. If that all worked, let's refresh our page. And now we have our merge list.